WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish that bright future we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, guys, welcome back to TACT-EAGLE for Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton Wanderers,
and also
Crystal Palace.
That's not the only mistake. I forgot to change the time as well. So just to clarify, it's not at 8 o'clock on Saturday. It's at 5:30, and we're playing Wolverhampton Wanderers, not Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolverhampton. Big up the man there from Wolverhampton. I mean, at least just put it right on the thumbnail, but the time's wrong. But who cares? We are back.
We are back.
We are here. This is the first TACT-EAGLE we've done this season where we're not stressed.
Yeah, 100%. And watching Wolves' defence back, definitely. Yeah, sorry. Watching Wolverhampton Wanderers' defence. That made me quite happy too.
Definitely. I think there's actually quite a lot to this game. Obviously, it looked originally like a game that we have to win, have to perform well. But because of our good performance and our win against Tottenham, obviously I would still love to win against Wolves and against Fulham next week. Mm-hmm. But it does sort of give us that little bit of breathing room where a draw isn't the end of the world either now, because we've got our win now. So I think for example, let's just say if we beat Spurs, if we get draw, obviously it's not the best thing in the world, but it's still 5 points in 3 games. It's still not the end of the world. But I would still like to go ahead and beat them, obviously.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if we did win, potentially we could go up to 15th. Woo! But obviously that's a lot better than where we were a few games ago, where we were wallowing on 3 points.
Wolverhampton. Just out of curiosity, how far away are we from 12th? Because that's the real number, isn't it? 12.
We're 6 points from 12th. Because that's the thing. Actually, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but let me get the by date. So, Palace results. So, because what I want to say is that a lot can change very quickly. So, for example, before we beat Liverpool, so let's go 13th of April last year. So, let me just quickly do this. April 13. So on April the 13th last year, the day before that we beat Liverpool, we were on 30 points and we were 5 points above the drop. And where did we end up? We ended up finishing 10th, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a 10th at that time was Brighton, and they were on 43 points. And we finished the season on... we finished that season on 49 points. So, a lot can change very quickly. Also, I think it's worth noting that I think Bournemouth, was it last season, Bournemouth? They had a similar record at the beginning of the season. I think they won one of their first 10 games or something like that.
And then they went on to finish really well.
Yeah, and I just want to see what their form was like. Like I say, I wasn't planning on bringing this up, but 23, 24. Because I think they didn't have the greatest end of the season either. Yeah, they didn't have the greatest end of the season. So their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Their last 8 games. Is that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, their last 8 games, they only won twice and drew once. So, and they finished 12th. So they had a really bad beginning of the season, really bad end of the season, and yet they still finished 12th. So, a lot can change.
Cool. Big up, chairman. Big up, Mikey.
Big up.
And big up, Lord Everything Trains. Obviously, this Saturday, double TACT-EAGLE. So we are going to talk about Wolverhampton. Don't you worry. But we have got a game against Villa on Wednesday. So
Yeah,
we don't
Aston
have
Villa.
enough. Yeah, what Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Yeah, we don't actually have enough time to obviously do a full preview and then a TACT-EAGLE on the same day because we can't sit here for 2 hours because we'll get bored and you'll get bored. So we are going to do a very short preview for Aston Villa. And I think that we could summarize it by saying I think both teams are not going full strength. Both teams are almost happy to go out of this cup because one, we need to focus on the league. And then for Aston Villa, you know, they're focusing on the Champions League. If they win the EFL, granted, it's great, but they're only getting Europa League football, aren't they? But I think if they do pretty well in the Champions League, and to be fair to them, they are doing very well in the Champions League, they're probably going to qualify again and focus on the league themselves. But what we will do, I don't know if you agree with me with those statements, Dan.
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. I think, as I said before the stream, they've played 3 Champions League games already. I think, you know, if they're going to value any of the competitions they're in this season, the least is going to be the Carabao Cup. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just having a look at the team that they put out. Admittedly, this was against Wickham. But the team they put out against Wickham, I mean, like some of the players like goalkeeper Joe Gauchi, centre backs Sil Swinkles, Lamar
That's
Bogart.
a hell of a name.
Yeah. I mean, they still have a good enough depth. They still played Onana, Leon Bailey, Bundia,
Duran,
Bundia
is back.
Ross Barkley, Ian Martin, etc. But yeah, and also like Villa are one of the most successful teams in the UK, or in England. I don't think it's not like they've never won the League Cup, so I think there'll be heavy rotation, to be honest.
Quickly, if we were to build our team, what would it look like, do you think? I think Turner's getting his first game.
Yeah.
I think Lacroix gets a rest. I think Chalobah and Mark start. I think Ward comes in here. Munoz gets a rest. Klein comes in here. Kamada goes in there. No, Kamada goes in there. Schlupp goes in there. Nketiah starts. Ume goes in there. And then the middle is where we're having issues because I wouldn't play either of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Wharton came off. I don't know if he had cramp or what.
100%.
And then Hughes, I don't think can play too many games in 1 week. Obviously Lerma, I guess it depends if Lerma maybe he just took a knock and he's all right now.
No,
is it bad?
Going on to obviously a little bit into when we actually talk about Wolves. Lerma actually got a full hamstring strain.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
He's not going to be available for either this game, next game, or probably the game after that, which is
that's a real shame.
Unfortunate. But
okay.
You know what? I probably wouldn't.
I would all right. Here's just an idea to throw out there. I mean, if we're struggling for midfielders, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Chalobah goes into midfield, just because he played there for Chelsea.
Who would go into centre back then?
This is the problem, isn't it? I guess the thing is, like, if we're doing a full change, where does Kaporha play? I can't remember. Does he play midfield or is he playing defence? I know he plays in 1 or 2, but I can't remember which. Unless Kamada goes into the middle with Chalobah.
That's a shout, actually. What we could see is
Schlupp on the right-hand side, maybe Agbenone on the left.
No, I was thinking this.
Oh, Ward in the middle.
Yeah, Ward in the middle. Yeah, Ward in the middle, Klein here. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays Munoz because Munoz played pretty much every game for us last season.
Yeah, and he seems like he's got the engine to do it. To be fair, as well. So
definitely.
I still think I would say maybe put Kamada and Chalobah in the middle, Schlupp on the right, and then Agbenoni up top, perhaps.
I wouldn't be mad at that. To be fair,
just said I think that where's Chalobah gone? Oh, you got him on right wing.
Oh, offside.
And also, I actually think that midfield's not too bad, and I think it's relatively balanced. Obviously, Chalobah's a bit more withdrawn. Kamada's maybe a bit more attacking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, we'll lose the metronome that is Adam Wharton, but I think no other player in that team is going to provide the same thing. So,
and also, to be fair, if you look at our bench for this lineup, let's say Henderson, Mitchell, Hughes, Wharton, Eze, Sarr, Mateta, Kapora, Lacroix, it's a very good bench as well. So if Glasner has a sudden change of heart, we could change a few players and have a very good team. Now, this isn't the end of the world team to put out.
No, definitely not. Definitely
it's
not.
A team that I can see 100% losing, but that's the best we can do. We want to preserve our league status, and that's on right now.
No,
but
absolutely.
This is an absolutely disgraceful team to put out. It's not like
No.
It's not, funny enough, it's not actually like what Villa did a few years ago, where they literally just played their under-23s team.
Was that when they still have Unai? Was that Unai Emery? Was that Steven Gerrard?
No, I'm sure that was Wilder, wasn't it? I think that was the season they nearly got relegated because of goal line technology.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember.
That's one of the maddest butterfly effects, though, isn't it? Because goal line technology wasn't turned on
for the only time
ever. In the league, and when they should have been relegated, and now they're in the Champions League. How crazy is that?
That is crazy.
But I wouldn't be mad at that team. I can see that team losing even to a weak Villa team, but who really cares?
Yeah, I mean, just because I've seen Finn's comment. Has Huma played any of the previous cup games? He didn't play against. He didn't play against QPR. He didn't play against Norwich either. And to be honest, I'm looking at the teams that were played on both those games, and Glasner has gone relatively strong on both of them. Interestingly, but I mean, the thing is, I guess it's one of those things. I guess if the players are able to play 3 games in a week, then that's fine. But obviously, we assume that they want to rest. But
yeah, well, there have been. I think Glasner actually come out and said that when he's tried to rest Munoz, he kicked up a fuss about it because he didn't want to rest.
Brilliant. The man does not sleep. He flies to Colombia to play games every month, and then.
Well, knowing how he runs, he probably runs home from Colombia, let alone get on the plane. Quick ones. I'm up there at Villa tomorrow. He's
nice. Enjoy.
Of Mikey. Villa may rotate their squad if they get a chance. Villa played in the previous cup. Yeah. Also, one thing that we maybe need to bring into account as well is that if we've got 2 games in Birmingham, I don't think we're going to come home.
That's true.
So, you could actually have like a full few days of recovery actually in Birmingham. So you could actually see Glasner going very strong in both games.
Yeah,
there's no need to travel, is there?
Yeah, that is true. And I know it's not. I know the travel's not far, but we've all done it, and it can be a bit taxing.
Yeah, but if you go there and you stay there, then it's like you could actually recover. The only thing that actually made me click onto that is I was messaging and talking to Ali, and he said, "Oh, I'm staying in Birmingham for a few days to watch both games." I was thinking, "Oh yeah." Like, there's no difference between wherever they're going, so that means the players are going to stay in a hotel there as well. So, we could actually go decently strong in both games. But
no, absolutely. And also, just to tag on to the assumption that Villa will go weak, they've also got a Champions League game next week as well. So, Yeah.
Cool. That's the Villa segment done. Let's
Woo!
talk about our predicted.
Wolverhampton.
I'm sorry for any Wolverhampton fans. Let's talk about our predicted 11 for Crystal Palace and Wolverhampton. All I'm saying is that Dan got changed very quickly there, and I think he was struggling.
It got caught. It did get caught on my arm. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, let's talk about injuries. Injuries. That's my favorite part of the day. So, Crystal Palace injuries. Mateus França.
Rip.
Chadi Riyad, Chris Richards, Chet Decore is not going to play in the Villa game, but he may or may not be on the bench for Wolves. But I wouldn't even say he's going to be on the bench. I wouldn't even risk him. Rob Holding has only started getting back into the under-23s team, and he was a part of that 10-0 loss against you-know-who. So I don't think he's going to be anywhere near our first team. I think we'll probably play Jamidi, I think his name is, from the under-23s, on our bench before him. It is what it is.
Is it not Jamid?
I am very dyslexic. Jamidi, what the hell is Jamidi? Jamid. Okay. Yeah, Jamid. And then as I alluded to earlier, Jefferson Lerma has got a hamstring strain, and that's why he came off early. Moving on to Wolverhampton, who actually have a hell of a lot of injuries. Don't know if you knew about this, Dan.
Okay.
Mosquera injured, Medina injured, Sasa injured, Boubacar Traore, who's actually a very good midfielder, by the way, injured, Hwang injured, Super Sam Johnstone injured, Lamina injured.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm taking him off then.
And a guy called Menaju or Dio injured. So that's a hell of a lot of injuries. And the Lamina one is the one that sticks out for me a lot because he's he's one of their best players by a long way. So for Crystal Palace, I have gone with the exact same team as we beat Tottenham with. I do not know if you agree, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, you can't change a winning formula, I think. And also that back three, that'll only be the third time that back three have actually played like that together. And it's only be the fourth time they actually played together. So, I think that kind of says a lot. But
I do think that how it's set up with Gay on the left, Lacroix in the middle, Chalobah on the right is the exact way you should have done it in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
Though, even when he did it against Liverpool when it wasn't right, we still didn't get smashed.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think they're all three. They're three very good centre. They're all three very good players. So, I think they got pros and cons in different places. So I guess that maybe is why. But Gay, we know is really good on the left. Lacroix, I think his pace just soaks up all that space in behind. He's very aggressive as well, which I think is really important. And Chalobah, I watched some of his game backs at Chelsea, and I can't believe they've gotten rid of him. If I'm to be honest, 1v1 duels, aerial on the floor. He's brilliant at it. So,
yeah, it's going to be another Conor Gallagher, another Loftus-Cheek. You can already tell. Let's just hope that we try and swindle our way into getting a contract in there.
I mean, hopefully it's a bit different this time because obviously, with Conor and Loftus-Cheek, they were hoping to break into their team, whereas Chelsea effectively isolated Chalobah out pretty much.
They wanted rid of him just for the sake of it.
Yeah,
they had him with the 23s for ages, didn't they?
Yeah, they want that 100% transfer fee, don't they?
Yeah, well, to be fair, at this rate, 20 million is not looking like a bad price.
No, I don't think so either, to be fair.
Cool. Going on to Wolves now. So, obviously, with the injuries, can't have Johnstone in goal. You got Sarr, and forgive me, because Wolves have 3 people with the name Gomez. I've just said Gomez, and I hope that you guys know what Gomez I'm talking about, because I don't. So I've got Sarr in goal with Gomez at left centre back.
I mean, Totti Gomez.
Dawson in the centre and Bueno on the right side centre back. Semedo and Aït-Nouri as the two wing backs with Doyle and Bellegarde in the middle, because that Bellegarde would have been Lamina, but Lamina, but obviously he's injured. Bellegarde's still a good player there, but there's levels to this game. And then up front we have Cunha on the left-sided, sort of a left-sided centre forward, I guess you could say, or a left-sided forward. Another Gomez on that right-sided forward, and Larson straight through the middle. Very similar formation to how we play, and they sort of play like how we played last year, where their front three was very, very close together. But after our game against Spurs, I guess if we pulled our 2 10s out wider, we actually got a lot more joy out of this game. So, and obviously our 10s went a little bit wider and a little bit deeper, so we sort of saw our team set up a little bit more like that. So it was more like a 4-5-1, but then when we went forwards, they went on. But with these guys, they're very close together, like how we did last year, where they like to do their interplay. But we will talk about that later. Dan, do you agree with their team, or would you put some of their bench players on there?
No, yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, I don't really know enough about Bellegarde or Andre to really say who would start. Yeah, the Gomez up front actually used to play for Flamengo. Just letting you know, but but yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think Bellegarde I think he's a very good player, because even before Vieira actually got Decore, I think we were umming and ahhing between him and Decore. I think we definitely made the right decision, but we was looking at him instead of like a Seko Fofana, but then he went to Saudi, so it is what it is there. But he's a very good player, but he's not that defensive player that they want from him. He can do it, but he's not that kind of player.
Right.
He's like a 10. Where I'm not a 10. He's like an 8, where he can do the defense and the attack, but he's not. Like, he's one of the guys where he's not brilliant at going forwards, and he's not brilliant at defending, but he just can do a job to going both ways. So he's a very good player, but just sort of played in a wrong role, let's say.
Okay.
Cool. Let me go and talk about how Wolverhampton attack. So the first things first when talking about these guys is that because of the formation they play, they do like a good wing back. So let me just move all of the players around, get everything set up and sorted, and then we'll be on our way. Let's just make these guys meet. Obviously, it's probably not going to be as drawn out as it is here, because there'll be a lot more squished together in the actual game. But this is like the premise of how the team would set up. And basically, because we play the same formation, it will be exactly man to man. But how do they attack? They are very, very, very reliant on their fullbacks, dribbling with the ball, running forwards, and making chances. There we go, ball. So, the main one here is Aït-Nouri. Incredible fullback. I'd like to say that before we even start here. We tried to buy him when they were trying to buy him, and so was Juventus trying to buy him all at the same time. They got him because they paid like 25 million for him, and for a 19-year-old ages ago, that was a lot of money. And to be fair, it is worth it. He can play left back, left wing back, left wing, and he can also play in the 10 position as well. So he is a great versatile left-sided player, and he's also like semi-bow-footed as well. Like I've seen him score some really nice goals with his right foot, and he's very, very, very confident with a ball at his feet, and he is a great dribbler of the ball. So obviously Semedo can dribble the ball as well, but not to the level that Aït-Nouri can. But what happens with Aït-Nouri is that you will see obviously they do what we do. They want to spread the pitch. They want to use their wide players as much as possible. Aït-Nouri will not be afraid of Munoz. He will try and attack him. He'll try and dribble towards him, try and beat him. But this is where Munoz, with that extra little bit of confidence and maybe with a little bit of pressing, he could actually get at Aït-Nouri before he actually starts to dribble the ball. So, maybe the press could actually come in handy again this game, but I'm sure Dan will let us know. Other things that they do is that Bueno here, he's not a centre-back, he is a full-back. And I was thinking, all right, Dan, what's the first thing you think of when I say that this right-sided centre-back is a full-back and not a centre-back?
Well, I imagine he probably doesn't.
Bearing in mind that we used to play this exact formation last year, and they may or may not have potentially been the exact same thing that we did last year.
Oh, I'm guessing so he pushes up to support Semedo or whoever's on that right-hand side.
Exactly. You will see him. So if Semedo and Mitchell are on the run, this guy will join. And so will him, and so will him. And also, so will him. Even if the ball's on the other side, he'll run on the inside and pick up a more 10 position. So, Wolves love a good overload. They love throwing all their players forward and leaving only a few players back. So, obviously, I don't want to touch on what Dan's saying too much, but because he is meant to be a defender and he joins the attack, he's meant to hold the width on the left side, but he joins the attack centrally. They've made a huge overload here, but you saw it against Brighton. If you can nick the ball off of them and go route one to the other end of the pitch, they've only got 1 or 2 defenders. So, here we go. This overload is going to be something that we really need to try and deal with. We need to try and try and keep our shape with this sort of 4-5-1 in defense. I think that it will be very important to do. Granted, it may leave Munoz and Sarr not really doing very much if they're staying, I guess, positionally sound. But it will be important to pick up this space because Cunha is arguably one of the better players outside of the top 6. And I don't actually think he gets the flowers that he really deserves for the quality of player that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Striker that can play make, he can score, and he can dribble as well. So he is, for me, he's a great footballer and a real asset to Wolves. And he's one of them guys that he's fast enough to run in behind. He's smart enough to press the back line and then drop off into the half space and pick up the ball and then run at someone. So he's very agile, very mobile, and I wouldn't say impossible to mark, but he makes it hard to mark you. So if you're marking Cunha, you're in for a long day, basically.
I mean, could you then double up if Aït-Nouri then moves inside? Could you not get Chalobah and Munoz to maybe double up on Cunha?
You could, and then make Sarr maybe push up to Bellegarde, maybe.
Yeah, so something like that. I mean, if they're not out there out wide, there's no threat. So don't see why. And you could just kind of, it's just like a 2 versus 1 overload there.
Yeah, you can do. But I was only looking at it because when they go up, obviously their centre-backs sort of go very central. My only thing is that if Sarr's a little bit wider, we've got that one route out wide instantly. And because of that serious pace that we've seen from Sarr and how he absolutely burned Van der Ven, I think even if Sarr's sitting a little bit deeper, I think if he's here and he's got maybe 5 or 10 yards, I'm sure that he could get a run on someone and then catch up to Mateta very quickly to then make it an exact 2-on-2 when going forwards. But that's the only reason why I'd say I probably would rather Sarr maybe not do as much defending, but still be sort of out wide and in a position where he can go forwards. Because of obviously them throwing people forwards, you've got space, Dan. You got this space, and you got this space, which is even larger because Aït-Nouri goes straight down the middle. their main love here, and this is maybe something that could actually play against us, is something that good old Big Andrews taught us from Spurs. And it starts with high and it ends with line. They love playing against a high line. Every single one of their attacks, if you look at how they pushed forwards, how they run with the ball, every single attack ends or even starts with a ball in behind. You will see times where Cunha's dropped, he's picked up the ball from the midfield, he's turned, he's beat the man, and he's running through the centre as a 10, and you will see Semedo making a run. You see Gomez making a run. You see Larson making a run. You see Aït-Nouri making a run. And he'll pass in between the lines. They'll run in. And then you'll basically just see this. Henderson will go like this. Ball goes across. Tap in. That's what they want. They want a high line. They want to run in behind. They've got really strong runners. I think they make one of the most runs in behind of any team in the whole of the Premier League. The thing is with Wolves, they score loads of goals, but because they score loads of goals and leave themselves so exposed, they also concede a hell of a lot of goals as well. So that is probably the main ways that they actually attack. It's not something really tactically incredible, nothing really tactically out there. It's just sort of utilize. It's to be fair, sometimes simplicity is also smart as well. I think the fact that they're just playing to the strengths of some of their players is also something that's important and is needed for a certain coach. Like Gary O'Neill's basically identified that Cunha is very good at playmaking. Gomez and Larson are very good at running in behind and timing their runs. Doyle and this would normally be Lamina are very good with Marshall in the back line, being that screen in front of the back three. Bueno's quite a little bit of a dynamo sometimes because he can defend because he is a fullback, but he also brings that extra little bit of attacking ability when he does go forwards. Granted, he leaves a lot of space in behind, and that's probably where Doyle should pick up. But Doyle was a more forward-thinking player as well. Maybe giving Gary O'Neill some tips here, but if they swapped Doyle and Lamina, Lamina could actually drop into the pocket there when he does leave. And then you sort of have a midfield of Bueno and Doyle. But because it's played the other way around, because Doyle is so left-footed that he has to play it this way. So maybe if he swaps it around, maybe you could actually get a little bit better defensively. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
How to defend against this? I've got some notes here. How do we defend against it? I think first thing we need to do is control the ball because they are the team with one of the worst possession stats in the league as well. So if we control the ball and we don't allow them to have the ball, that's probably good for us, obviously. If we have the ball, they're not going to score against us. The only thing I would say, though, is that because they've got so little time with the ball, when they have the ball, they do make a lot with it. So if the ball gets turned over, we have to be very switched on and very clued into they're going to try and run in behind. Whether that's a long ball or someone's going to run at you and then put one in behind, we need to be switched on.
Mm-hmm.
I think our press, if we press like we did against Spurs, I think that Spurs can't swear here, but I think they doo-dooed themselves when we pressed them. I think that Wolves will double doo-doo themselves if we press them. And I say that because I think you even said it when I said I always thought that Vicario was good with his feet, but clearly not. I know for a fact that Jose Sarr is not good with his feet, and they try and play out from the back. Like Sarr gave away a goal against Brighton literally last week because he can't play out from the back, and Brighton didn't even press him. He literally just passed it straight to them. So if we can press Dawson, not press resistant. Gomez, not really too sure. Bueno, not press resistant. Sarr, definitely not press resistant. If we press up high and we don't give them that much time on the ball to think about it, then we could be in to maybe score a similar goal to what we did against Spurs, where we nick the ball from them. We're confident in front of goal. We could actually score a goal within 2-3 passes of tackling them up high, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very important to have Lacroix marking centrally and shielding off this central area. I only say it because, let's say if, I guess, Bellegarde's running with a ball, they'd like to make some strange runs, but it's strange when you look at it, but it really works in real life. So if Bellegarde's running with a ball, and then you've got Gomez making a run, Larson and Cunha making a run, because they know that Cunha is probably the best in front of goal, you will see them making a diagonal run here, and then he'll try and put a ball in here. So his next touch will sort of be away from the goal and then towards the goal. I think it'll be very important to have Lacroix. Obviously, he's in the center of the centre back role. It'll be important for him to cover this area, because I back Lacroix to actually make up the ground or even put in a challenge by the time he gets to the goal because of how fast he is. And I think it's mostly important there because obviously you want someone to, even if they're in on goal and they're good and their goal side of scoring compared to the centre back, you want Lacroix to even be touching distance, because just having your presence there, or maybe putting them off balance ever so slightly, that could fumble their shot. And I think just him being there, being able to track back, being able to cover, or even if his touch is bad, Lacroix could actually nip in there and steal it and hook the ball clear. So him covering this central area and using his pace to his advantage here, I think will be very important in trying to slow down maybe their thoughts of actually attempting that ball in behind. Because if they do it a few times and it's not successful, the human mind's going to say, well, if that doesn't work, then why would I keep doing it? They're going to try something else. But if this is their bread and butter and it doesn't work, then that could play in our favour.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like combining Lacroix, I think Henderson seems to sweep a lot more, I think, as well. Just to like try and close, again, like kind of close that space a bit more as well.
Definitely. Another thing is that with their fullbacks cross so early. It's almost as if it's like a through ball. It's quite impressive actually. Like you'll see Semedo, like if these guys are running in on goal here, and I'll just put our players around here, just as an example. But let's say Semedo has the ball, he would cross from about this angle, and same thing with Aït-Nouri on the other side. He will cross from about this angle, but it will be one of them crosses that are low on the floor and it will sort of drag around like that. So if they can get clear of the centre-back, it's almost a tap-in. So I think we need to definitely stop the cross. I think Mitchell's not very good at that, and Munoz is not very good at stopping the cross. But I think maybe being a little bit more aggressive and pressing, we might not actually give them the ability to cross. And I think the final thing I want to say is don't let Cunha dictate the play, because the amount of times that he's dropped deep, done some 1-2s, dribbled through basically the whole team, and then just laid the ball off to someone to score an open goal is too many times to count, really. So try not to let him dictate the play. He will drop deep to get the ball, to get some touches. He will try and link up with Aït-Nouri, and that's a deadly combo. But I think I wouldn't say if you stick a man on him, but if you don't give him time to think about what he's going to do, he will pass back, and then there'll be that whole cycle again. So, he'll pass back to one of them guys that aren't press resistant, and there'll be that whole cycle of, if we keep the pressure on, they could crumble here. They could. And even though they're at home, I think we could actually get something out of this game. I think the last 2 years we've actually been to Molineux, we've actually won. So I think they're one of the teams that we've actually done better at away from home. So, hopefully.
That's a really good point, actually, because I know I've been there twice and we've won both times.
Same here.
I mean, since they've come up at their place, we've won. So we played them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and we've won 1, 2, 3, 4. We won 3 times of the 7, but we haven't.
Those 3 times were recently, though, weren't they?
There was a 2-0 in 2023. I think it was at Vieira.
That was.
Sorry. One was the FA Cup. Sorry, one was the FA Cup.
Oh yeah.
And then because I think the years I went when IU scored, and I can't remember the other time I went.
I went last year where we won 2-1. Was it 2-1 or 3-1? I think it was 2-1. And then I went when it was Vieira, when I think Elise scored that screamer, and then Mateta just scored that tap in off the line. He smashed the corner flag even though he just tapped it in.
I remember that.
Yeah, two very good away. I think it's a nice away day.
Yeah,
but the away end is awful. Like I hate how it's just spread out across the whole line.
Yeah,
can't really get an atmosphere going, but it's a good day out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Have you got anything you want to add to how Wolves attack and how we could defend against them? Maybe.
No. I've said what I said already.
Let's hit some comments before we go on to the defense. Spiritual says, let's just forget França exists. I don't think Dan would do it. Especially with the shirt he's wearing. That is a Flamengo shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, could have been a Red Rangers shirt. You never know.
No. Let's not go there.
Jamidi, Evening Animal, big up Kevin.
Big up.
I don't know why the dog wants me to say this, but this is not happening. You know what? We could get some money from this if you pay me. I'm still not doing it. Our passing accuracy is crap. I thought it was pretty good last game. Sarah's still there. Thought he would have left.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
I'm fairly sure he last season. I think she first dropped and wanted to leave, but then it just never materialized.
Yeah, he threw a strop, wanted to leave, so they got Johnstone, and he went, I'm actually staying. So Johnstone's number 2 again. So great. Big up. Durfez says evening. I think our confidence will be up and our passing will improve.
Hopefully.
Lacroix should be able to cut out the crosses to the forwards just like Solanke. As long as he stays aggressive and does that in this game as well, same thing with all of our centre-backs being aggressive and being on it, I think that we will be okay. And it was 3-1 last year. Who scored the 3 goals? No, Eze scored one.
I just looked up Elise and Mattel.
Okay. And finally, from Mikey, good to hear. It's a good away day. Moved up to Derby recently. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, no, it is a good away day. The only negative really is just the away end. But...
Yeah, it's just like the stand-in, basically. It's like imagine you've got like the size of Bournemouth's stand where you go in the away end, but imagine that thing goes the whole length of the pitch. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you can't really get an atmosphere going, but it's still a good away day. The concourse
it is a good away day.
Concourse is massive. So, yeah. All right, Dan, let us go into some defense.
So, what can I say about Wolverhampton Wanderers in defence? They're terrible.
I swear you said that against Spurs.
honestly, right? I watched back two of their games. Maybe it was just the games I watched, but they weren't like it was against Villa and Brentford, and oh my god, I couldn't believe. I was like, what am I watching?
Well, I remember last week when we did TACT-EAGLE on Spurs, and I had one thing that I said about how they defend is bad. I said they don't defend.
Honestly,
it's as bad as Tottenham.
Assuming they defend like they have been, if we don't score, honestly, it'll be a travesty. Like that is genuinely how bad I think they are at defending.
Well, I have a stat for you, Dan.
Go on.
For Wolves. In 9 games, they've conceded 25 goals, which is 3 goals a game.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add on to that, they've got the 4th worst expected goals in the league. But I do think, because I was looking at who was lower, and I think like you got and like the teams that are lower, but basically all the promoted teams, right? But then I do think like Leicester, I think they just block a lot of shots. So they still register as XG, but they block a lot of shots. So I think, yeah, they don't, because if you look at the their expected goals against per shot, they're 12th. So 0.11, which is okay, I guess. But one thing I really want to allude to, and this isn't anything I can show on the tactics board, but they concede, right? So goals per shot on target is 0.4. So basically, for every 5 shots on target they are against, they concede 2 goals for every 5 shots on target.
Wow. So that means the chances that are being made against them are very high quality.
Not necessarily. It could be one of many things. It could be, sorry. It could either be, no, you're right. It could either be that, or it could be the goalkeepers aren't doing their job, or it's just ridiculously good finishing. It's one of those 3 things. So I looked into it, and it's the goalkeepers. Because I looked at the stats, right, for it. So far this season, the goalkeepers have done. Right, I'll tell you who's second worst. The second worst is West Ham, and they're on minus 2.3. So what that means is the goalkeepers have conceded 2.3 more goals than they should have, according to the stats. Right? It's a different stat. It's not XG. It's something different. But that's whatever. Now Wolves are on minus 5.5.
Whoa.
5.5, right? And Sarr, who will obviously be playing on Saturday, he's on. Oh, I can't believe it. Bear in mind, he's only played 4 games. He's on minus 4. So, I think if there was ever a game to, because obviously, like recently, we've been making some good shots from outside the box, forcing the goalkeepers to make saves. I know Sells did against Forest, and so did Vicario on Sunday. So I'm going to hazard a guess that if they were to do the same shots, maybe, I don't know if Sarr is necessarily going to save them.
I haven't used the soundboard in a while.
But yeah, so that's the first thing to note. The only other things to really note is that in terms of shot creating actions, they're second worst for take-ons, conceding them, obviously, and third worst for dead balls. So they're not very good at dead ball situations, judging by that. And they're not very good at defending against dribblers, but there's a reason for that, I think. They also have the most opponent touches in their own box of any team in the league, and the second most touches in their own third of any team in the league. So territorially, they're not quite there either. So how does this actually play out in terms of the tactics? So honestly, right, these are my notes for actual watching the game in play, right? I've got can't defend transitions.
Yeah.
Up between high press and a low block. Backline really passive and zonal. So many gaps that can be exploited with simple overloads. That's all I've written, because that is all it is. You don't need anything. It's not like, you need some next level tactics to do this. Like, honestly, it's so simple. I'm shocked, to be honest with you. So, okay, so first things first. Let's say we've got the ball. So we like to do this thing where we kind of go like this. Munoz pushes a bit higher. They go into midfield. Blah blah blah, etc. etc. So right, 2 things with their press, right? So let's say we got the ball here. So generally, when they're this high up the pitch, if they're up to here, they'll have 3 players. I can't remember exactly which players it is, but they'll have 4 players kind of in this area, which obviously, that's a bit weird, because we do it with 5, well, arguably 5. A lot of teams seem to split 5-5 in terms of defense, but they don't. So, yeah. But what the problem is here is that the space between like where their first line is and their back line is, whether I'm not too sure if it's what they're asked to do or if it's teams exploiting them, but the gap is massive. Like really, they should be like up here. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're gonna press high, it should be like up here or something like that. They don't. They seem to have so much gap like over here. And this is like kind of what it looks like. I think it is partially teams exploiting them because I think what teams do is they put players on their line up here, and then that is what forces them back. But as you can see here, like there's so much gap. And the thing is, like the only player here who really actually aggressively presses is the striker. So obviously if the strikers come here and let's say, I don't know, Lacroix's pass here, like their other players are like over here. So they've got like all the time in the world just to pick another pass. Occasionally, yeah, to be fair, occasionally like their press does work, forces a team into a corner, and then they might have to kick it long or they might win the ball, something like that. But generally speaking, they have so much time and space like over here. And I'm just like, well, if you're going to have your back line so far back, either don't press high or like, do you know what I mean? It's one or the other. Like you can't have both. And they're not really man-to-man either. They just pretty much their press always looks to just cut passing lanes. So not really man-to-man. Like, because ours is a bit more hybrid where we do both, but theirs isn't. It does change ever so slightly if the ball's maybe over here, then they do seem to press more in like a 5. But again, it's the same thing. So let's say Mitchell's got the ball here, like this, for example. Whoops. They'll kind of set themselves like a bit kind of like this in a way. So that's kind of what it looks like. But this back line still kind of stays like this, like over here. And again, like I feel like you just got such a big gap between them. And as you can see, like there's space like everywhere. Sometimes they're like this. Sometimes it's even more in the middle and they try and control this middle. So then basically what you have is a player able just to run into this space, like pretty much without any pressure. And Brentford did that really well. And that's how they scored their first goal and then created another really good opportunity like 2 minutes later. And Wolves just didn't deal with it. Now, when they are in a low block, I just think like it's so like again like the players seem to like defend the middle here. So then what that means is that and they might come out a little bit, I guess, but like what that means is their wing backs are really like isolated defensively. So say Mitchell's here, obviously I wouldn't back Mitchell in a 1v1, but you know, let's say it's not Mitchell and it's Eze instead. You'll get a one-on-one Eze versus Semedo every time, pretty much, because these players don't come out and help. I don't know why, and it's the same the other side as well. Like it'll be exactly the same thing, and then you can cross the ball in. They're not that great at defending crosses either. So, you know, that's obviously not a good thing that they do, I don't think. And also, like, it seems to be very zonal. Like, the amount of times where all a team did, for example, right, was, right, let's say Mitchell's out here, blah, blah, blah. Let's say, like, they do actually bring a player out here. Because to be fair, like, if there is, they won't necessarily they'll allow 1v1s, but they won't necessarily allow an overload. So let's say there is an overload and they brought a player out, right? All it takes, right, is for one player to, like, say, drop off a bit. Semedo follows, and then say another player, like let's say it's not, let's say Will Hughes is here, and then Mitchell's overlapped. They will get all of this space to like run into, and it's like
it seems to be they're almost trying to bank on an offside trap that isn't there.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it's either that or they back themselves defending the headers or something like that. Maybe it's that. Maybe because they got Dawson there. I don't know. But then that's the other thing. Like once you do get into his position, if you just kind of overload them in the middle here, they become so narrow. They become quite narrow here. because obviously his players going to have to come out to let's say Mitchell. If you bring players in here, they come so narrow, and then that kind of the back post is then a viable option. And that's what I mean. It's just like simple. It's simple overloads. Like, it's nothing crazy. Like there's nothing ridiculous there. And that's what I found. And I think that's passiveness. I think it's not necessarily. I think it's the zonal marking. And yeah, that's all it is. There was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, and the only other thing. So I'm just going to touch back on very quickly. I don't know if you noticed this, JC, but do you think they lost the ball quite a lot in this area?
I think that they don't really. I don't think they're very good at passing. I think they've got extremely good individuals, but I feel like there's quite a few of their team that gets carried a little bit.
Yeah,
because I think their spine of their team is Cunha, Lamina, Aït-Nouri, but potentially you could say that Lamina is the biggest player in their team, the most important player.
Yeah,
because literally everything goes through him. The defense starts with him, and also the attacks start with him. And with him being injured, that's a hell of a hole for Bellegarde to fill.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, yeah, especially with him not being there.
Yeah, and there have been some times as well where the front three, they're so into running in behind that the ball could get lifted and it's just a long hit from about where Bellegarde is on your screen. Like it'll be like a goal kick trying to put the ball in behind to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got someone like Maxence Lacroix who's fast enough to, make up the ground, and he's also tall enough to intercept those headers, we could completely nullify them because they like to go long from this deep position just to relieve pressure from themselves and try and start an attack, I guess, by surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, from what I saw, and like you said, like with like Lamina kind of doing, and what you're saying about like they commit players forward, I noticed that when they lose the ball here, they are very vulnerable to then just a quick transition. And I think, with their defensive frailties anyway, on a quick counter attack like that, I think that's another source of ire for them. But I mean that's all it really is, to be honest. Like I said, there really isn't a huge amount to how to beat them, just because I think they're not doing the basics right, and their setup's just really weird and just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Spiritual here saying, so it's like Son being injured for Spurs, they were hopeless. I would say yes, but maybe to a slightly bigger degree.
I agree.
Specifically, Spiritual saying Mitchell was used in the system. He was very good last game. I have to give him credit for that. Rich says, how do we defend against Aït-Nouri? He seems to play well against us all the time. I still will never forgive this brother for scoring against a screamer against us on his debut. I think just don't let him run. Like, if he gets the ball, you have to press him, and if he does a madness and he skips past you, got to double up on him. I think that's really one of the only ways we can actually do it. And to be fair, if Lamina's off, injured, we probably have the ability to double up on him.
Also, him versus Chalobah, I genuinely think Chalobah's such a good defensive 1v1 duel, especially on the floor. I'd back Chalobah to keep him quiet.
Spiritual saying this is going to be a very open game. It could be. If we lose our heads, it could be. Durfez saying, did they concede more with Sarr or SJ?
So
I don't think Johnstone's played too much.
In terms of the underperformance, they both underperforming this season in this particular stat. But per 90 minutes, Sarr's way ahead. Like, Sarr's the worst in the league. So Sarr's on -1 per game, which is horrific.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Johnstone's on -0.29, which is okay, I guess. But that translates to 1.4 goals over the 5 games that he's played.
And then final comment here is Animal saying, should we be subbing on Agbenone instead of Schlupp moving forward? 100%. If we're looking to chase a game and get a goal, I think so, 100%. If we're looking to lock the game out, I think maybe Schlupp is still the better option here, purely defensively. So, Dan, we've got 2 sets of score predictions today. So we'll do the first one would be our score predictions for Wolves. And normally I would go first because I am doing the attack today. I am going to go. I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet here because I think they are very good at going forwards just because of the fact that they throw so many people forwards. They're going to score. But because of how open they are at the back, and I think that even against Tottenham, we probably should have got a few more goals than we actually did. I think if you look at our chances that were high XG that we actually missed, I think we should have scored about 2 or 3 goals instead of just 1. I'm going to go 2-1 to Crystal Palace here.
I'm going to go 2-0 to Crystal Palace against Wolves. I think we're going to have. I think Lamine is going to be such a big miss for them in the middle. I think Wolves are going to struggle to progress properly. Assuming we play the way we did against Spurs, I think we're going to win that midfield battle. And I think Cunha's going to be frozen out the game, to be honest with you.
100%. And also that midfield battle, they are still struggling from what we were doing at the start of this season where we only had 2 people in that middle. So transition just cut us right open. Whereas after the game that we've just played, how we've tucked our wingers in a little bit, we've gone to a 4 middle now. So 4 against 2 in the middle is a huge overload in our favour. Balls kicked.
Yeah,
I think that'll help us a lot. So yeah, I think 2-0 for me. 2-1 for me, 2-0 for you. And then the Aston Villa game, I'm going to say 3-1 Villa.
The thing is, I can't see either team putting out.
I need to know what team goes up because, as we said, we could put a strong team out because our team don't have to leave Birmingham.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that we're going to risk anyone for the fact that we get injuries like no one's business right now.
I'm going to go. I think it's going to be 1-1 because it's going to be a drab game that maybe we slightly care more about. I think it's going to be 1-1, and I think someone's going to win on penalties. I think Villa will win on penalties.
Cool. Animal saying 3-1 Palace. Durfez saying 2-0 to us versus Wolves. Schlupp, how is that brother still playing? It's because the buffet still exists. Durfez saying it 0-0 and to Villa on penalties.
Yeah, it's just that kind of vibe in it to penalties.
For me, we'll lose against Wolves and beat Villa. That is the Palace way. That is the Palace way if I've ever seen it. And big up CH85EN.
Big up.
Is that chicken? I don't know. Hello, JC and Dan from the USA. Big up. All the way from the USA. Cool. Is that everything?
I believe so. There's only one thing. Up the Palace.
You should give me a bit more warning. Dan is going to be putting up a thread
tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow because I got to go to work. I got to eat before I go work. I got to go in like 40 minutes. So I'm going to eat. I want to spend time with Duda, and then I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put it up tomorrow afternoon.
There will be a thread tomorrow. Is it before or after the game?
No, it'd be way before. It would be like 5 o'clock tomorrow.
All right, cool. Guys, enjoy the game. It's on Sky Sports Plus. So, if you've got Sky Sports, then great. If you don't and you have a link, then that's also great. Guys, at the Palace.